I'm quite honored to participate in this conference. I have the feeling that this is one of the best conference that we should be having on the continent because of the content, because of what this conference is. The discussions are centered around the diaspora, which is a great opportunity for all of us, especially to those of us who've been in the diaspora and now back home. Okay, like you rightly put it, my name is Evans Fongum. I'm an entrepreneur and actually an agripreneur. I call myself an agripreneur and strategic business consultant. So we've been in Afrique consulting. What we specialize in doing, that was back then in 2015, was looking at how we can revamp the agricultural sector, because a lot of people in the agri sphere just do not think that if you want to get into agriculture, for example, you can actually design a plan and all of that. So when we look at, just like previous speakers with the different session that they have gone through, they look at, when you look at the diaspora, like the previous speaker actually said, having lived myself abroad, I've been living in the US and in China, I actually experienced some of this transformation firsthand, especially in China. So when I look at certain basic products that they can change life, and when I look back home, these are things that people do not even imagine about it. So, and then again, when I look at the diaspora, because when I'm talking about diaspora and I'm talking about agriculture, I'm actually just looking at sub-Saharan Africa, because if you go down South Africa, the stories are different. If you go up Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, the stories are different. So the real issue is with the sub-Saharan Africa. Sorry for the use of that word, sub-Saharan. The real issue is when you look across East, Central, and West Africa. That's where the issues are. And this is where we have the bulk of diaspora. This is where most of them actually travel. So this whole topic about remittance diaspora is quite interesting to me, because I feel that a lot can be done. A lot can be done looking at the remittances that comes in. So I'm quite excited to discuss detailing on this and how we can get the diaspora on board. Yeah, before I go to what we are doing, I would like to take us through some few matrices. Although most of the speakers have talked about the amount that is coming in terms of, I want us to just look at 2019, for example. In sub-Saharan Africa, we have $48 billion annually. And in 2021, we had 45. This is a huge amount. This is just for sub-Saharan Africa. And okay, when I got back to Cameroon, I was quite interested in food production in agriculture. So the first experience that I had was I worked, there was this government project with a tone of $10 million. And what was this project designed for? It was just to promote food production. So I worked on that project as a consultant, helping the young entrepreneur design business plan, explain, accompany them on how to set up enterprises. But there was something that was very remarkable to me in that, for that experience that I had. I realized that there were certain issues surrounding agriculture and here in Cameroon. So I discovered that it's the same problem in Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, and all of that. And what is that problem? The first of this problem is there is a stigma. Growing in rural Cameroon, going to school, there was this famous says that if you can't do sciences, if you're not smart in school, you're going to use that head to carry cassava. So there is this stigma around agriculture. that makes people to understand that if you have to engage in agriculture, it means that you were not put in many other things. And what does this do? It creates, a cycle of dumbing in the agribusiness sector. So, and again, another problem that arises within the agricultural sphere is the lack of, I don't know the situation in Kenya, in Ghana, but I'm pretty sure that it is the same situation. Here in Cameroon, we do not have an agri-bank. There's no bank specialized for funding agriculture. And then, as a diaspora, as someone who's lived abroad and interact with fellow Cameroonians and other Africans, I also identify another problem that we have. I totally agree with Dr. Lucy talking about us coming together and creating a fund that can be able to drive transformation, not just in the agri sector, but in other sectors. So there is the third issue that we have is, individuality. We have built on our individuality to the extent that we have completely forgotten about our collective efforts and what that can do. So with all of this problem, and the thing that was quite striking to me and got me into agriculture is when I visit a supermarket, for example, here in Cameroon, I realized that more than 90% of the shelves product are imported product. And when I turned around, and the most shocking part of it was, I went to a famous supermarket here, and I realized that, and I saw potatoes chips. You understand? So there is a lot of it that is produced, for example, in my village where I come from, but then nobody's ever thought about the fact that we can process these, we can frozen these, export to other countries or even to ourselves. So when I look at another issue that I realized around agriculture and which got me into it was, I realized that almost everybody across the sub-Saharan Africa is playing it small. And in agriculture, nobody, like in other fields of business, nobody's ever created world playing small. Now, and I was trying to understand why do people not get into, industrial agriculture? So those were the issues that got me into. So, and then the particular thing that got me interested in industrial poultry was that I realized that the same problem, more than 90% of the day-old chicks, for instance, that we have in Cameroon are all imported from Europe. And you can imagine somebody importing frozen chicken from Brazil, for example. It takes 3 months to get here. So we're virtually eating something that is like more than 4 months or something. So all of these issues, and then when I look at the figures for, when I look at the amount of money, like Lucy rightly said, that we're receiving this much money. But when I try to, analyze these remittances, and I realize that more than 75% of the remittances that we receive year in, year out, I'm talking in the case of Cameroon, for example, goes for non-world creative activity, right? So, yes. So where does it go to? To sibling, maybe pay hospital bills or education or just helping one family member to the other. So none of this world is actually, intended for world creation. So what happened? We continue to be poor. You understand? So, and again, when I look at Africa, for instance, because we were made to understand that you cannot create wealth from agriculture in the first place. And that's why we don't have the agro-industrial, farmers in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, for example, and when you look at it, you discover that this is something that is intentional, you understand? But the problem that the question I ask myself is, why is it that the diaspora, that we have had the opportunity to live abroad, we've lived in the US, in China, we've seen how amazing food processing is done, almost the process, almost everything. You can have anything, because back in Cameroon, most people just kind of think that if we want to talk about agriculture, we're talking about coffee production, we're talking about cocoa production, maybe bananas and all of that. People don't look at agriculture in terms of maybe the production of vegetable just in large scale. So some of the issues and the challenges that got me in this thing. And then when I look at Africa, for example, we have 1.5 billion people live on the African continent today. And forecast is showing that by 2050, we'll have more than 2.5 billion people living on the African continent. And we are not producing food. So to me, the issue of agriculture goes beyond just world creation. It's about life. It's about security. There's no guarantee. So when I look at all of these challenges that we were having, and then without an agri-bank, and then I look at what the diaspora is bringing in, and then I began to ask myself, why is it that diaspora could not invest? I realized that most of the businesses that we have are not well structured. So you can't scale something that is not well structured. So we decided now, when I and a couple of friends who live in the diaspora, and then we decided to look at how we can design, we can make the story different, how we can, set up a business plan, on raw poultry, create something that a diaspora can read and see a plan in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So they know, okay, if I am investing this amount into this business, this is what these are my expectations. This is what they intend to do. This is where they want. So that is exactly what we are doing at Afrique Raw Poultry. So we have created a system, because the complex, we're actually, covering the entire value chain in the poultry sector, but we're doing it in unit by unit, but at industrial scale, which permit every diaspora who's interested in agribusiness, particularly poultry. You can say, okay, I'm interested in the production of eggs, for example, table eggs. Some other person become interested in the production of day-old chicks, or I'm interested in chicken meat processing. So that's exactly what we have created, and that we are presenting to the diaspora and saying, this is something that is structured. This is, you could come in, you know the vision, you know where we plan to be in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So we are trying to clear the doubt. People, when it comes to investment, people are really very skeptical when the fear, or when the sense that you don't have an idea, you don't know what you're trying to do, and you are requesting for a lot of money. So that's what we're trying to do at Afrique Raw Poultry.
Sharing your experience, and I wish more diasporans. Is it only for Cameroonian diaspora, or all Africans in the diaspora to reach out to you?
Everyone.
Everyone.
But I give
Perfect.
Cameroonian, it's just actually, I give the preference to the Cameroonian diaspora because they bring money that will stay in Africa. Yeah. But if you have people who are coming from Africa, they will bring the money, they will take part of it out of the African continent. But, as a business person, we're open to it. Every investor who's interested in coming into the business is open to everybody. As far as the diasporas are concerned, I think if I want to make it, one statement is for the diaspora to be able to create a fund pool. And this could be country by country. We can have country by country fund, diaspora fund for investment. We can have that. And then we can also have a global fund, African diaspora fund, in which case the different country diaspora fund could invest in the Global African Diaspora Fund. So that should be my take, because it will make it pretty easier for you, like the hello?
Sorry, go ahead. It looks like there's some background noise. Go ahead.
Was saying it would prevent the diaspora from, investing, from taking hasty decisions into investing into something which they do not really know. But if we have a fund and a fund manager that can study that, I think it could be very productive. Thank you.
Thank you, Evans. What about you, Dr. Lucy? What are your last remarks around this conversation around diaspora initiatives?
Thank you so much, Anne, for this opportunity again to be on this conference with this